famous German man. So yeah, they must have been associated at that point. So.
But this is one of the problems. They had to, book some time to do that and make sure they'd got the guy to do Jeremy, and he wasn't always free. So they had to build in this long lead time.
So it's the Germans' fault, is what you said?
I wouldn't say it's exclusively the Germans' fault. It is the Amazon's desire to cater for as many people in many countries as possible.
I never made that leap, but that makes a lot of sense. That it wasn't.
Just, to be honest, I never. When we started doing the show, and they'd go, right, you have to deliver the finished episodes here.
Yeah.
The series will start here, and we were like, what the?
Yeah.
But we used to do it in a week.
Yeah.
It took a long time for them to explain very calmly. This went, look, here are some of the reasons why.
Well, it's a very different operation to the BBC, really.
Yeah, it's a very different operation. And so it meant that getting a big star, because when you say to their agent or their promo people, could they come on, and they'll be like, yeah, can they promote the movie? Yeah, they can, but this won't be going out till October.
Yeah.
They'll be like,
No point
well, that's
there.
no good for us, so we're going to put them on Graham Norton or somewhere where it goes out the same week. So that was one of the reasons the guest thing didn't really work anyway.
Space saver on the front axle. Don't do that, people. Put it on the back, please. It's not ideal. Was there much of a crunch on Top Gear? Were you working like all the way till like Sunday morning, or was it submitted like?
Yes, yeah. It was usually. It would have to. There's sort of whole process of processing a TV show. So, yeah, we do the voiceover for that week's films on the Monday. We'd get the studio script in order and prep for the guest on Tuesday. Wednesday in the studio, and then it would be edited on Thursday and Friday. But it has to go through things like a thing called the conform, which checks that it's just all to tech spec.
Yeah.
And they're looking for things like even sort of flash frames or something like that, or stuff that could trigger epilepsy, and audio. They want to make sure the audio's all good and consistent. There's no sort of horrible spikes or anything like that, or that there's something you can't hear.
Yeah.
Because the trouble is sometimes you work on something and you've watched it a number of times and there's something someone says and it's not very audible, but because you've heard it so many times you've figured out what it is. But you have to accept the viewer gets one shot, and sometimes so the people in the conform might be the ones who go, you're going to need a subtitle.
Yeah.
And it's little things like that, just the real kind of housekeeping, but it's vital that it's done. And there's a lot of very diligent, clever people. And I mean, usually I can't remember the order of things, but sometimes there would be. Every so often I'd get a call on a Sunday. Usually it wasn't really my department, but every so often the producers ring and go, that bit in the studio, we're just watching it back here, and it sounds like James says bollocks, but we're not sure because we don't know if we should bleep it. Was it in the script for him to say bollocks? So we're like, no. I think he says bollards, and they were like, "Oh, it sounds like bollocks." We're just going to cut it out. That's the safest thing to do.
Thinking.
So yes, it did go to not to the wire, but every so often there's some major problem spotted. Usually it was a technical thing. The show would, rather than in those days, 43 or 63.
63, I think. Quite ever.
Usually a tape would go to, I'm showing my absolute lack of knowledge now, but the tape would go to wherever in the BBC that they sort of put the tape in the machine, and then that's how telly happened. 8 o'clock on a Sunday night. But every so often, I think it would have to be played out directly from the machine.
Oh, wow.
And that was always seen as undesirable.
Yes.
Because I guess it's a bit less, it was prone to more problems.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And that, if it was being played out directly, that meant that it had really got to the wire.
Really to the wire.
That was rare.
See, the question I hadn't even wrote down that popped into my head on the way here, the very, very last episode where it's just James and Richard in the studio. Yeah. When it's so funny to me that the last car Jeremy drove on Top Gear was that god-awful Vauxhall with the cocks on the
the Frontera.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, the evening of that shoot is when the so-and-so for car happened.
No, it was a different shoot. It was.
Oh, it's
Yeah, it was a shoot it's a thing that never got broadcast.
Really? I thought it was that shoot.
No, it was that series again. Talking about going to the wire. for various reasons, we were really behind that series, and it is one of the reasons why tensions are running high anyway, because we were really up against it, and we were 1 3-header film short for the run, and the cupboard was a bit bare on ideas. Probably the budget was a bit bare as well.
I can imagine. That's nice.
So we had this slightly half-baked idea that each presenter would just choose a car they really liked. That was it. If pick any car, any new car you want, something you really wanted to drive,
Okay.
and go up to North Yorkshire and some beautiful roads and just do that. So it was a bit of a weak item, truth be told, but it needed to be done. Now that has got the tints, but it still looks good.
They are good-looking cars.
So that was what they had to shoot the Thursday, Friday, I guess.
I can't believe you ran towards the camera for that. Wow.
Not far.
Well, it's been to the Nürburgring.
Has he though?
No, I know.
Sorry, just likes the shape of the stick. Yeah, so that was it. And this is
that was the shoot.
All fell apart.
See, I never knew that. I always thought it was that.
Yeah.
The last episode.
I can't even remember what the cars were. I remember what Jeremy, against type a little bit, was he'd chosen a Porsche 911 GTS.
I was going to say, was it a 911? GTS,
He genuinely was going to buy one, or said he was. He even went down to the Porsche showroom in Mayfair.
Wow.
But because he wanted to paint a sample car, and the salesman was being, I think, a little evasive about how long that would take, but clearly it was going to be months, and Jeremy's like, I just want the car, but I'd really like it in that amazing good blue. And so he didn't commit, and he never did. But yeah, he had a 911. I think James had a Rolls Royce Phantom drop head or something.
Oh, okay.
And I can't for the life of me remember what Richard had, some hot hatch maybe. Yeah, so it was a bit of a weak item, and it never got, I mean, that's it.
Because my question was how did you get Jeremy on the voiceover, but that piece must have been finished long before the...
well, actually, the voiceover for that last thing was done.
Post for car.
Because, I probably shouldn't say this is a bit... Jeremy messaged me and said, because I always used to go to the voiceover and sit in the control booth, with the little button to key into their headphones and go, could you just do that again, please?
But a bit better.
But a bit better,
yeah.
And Jeremy messaged me and said, I'll see you at the voiceover or something, and I wrote back and went, no, you won't, because I'm done.
You mentioned this last time, you played a bit hardball in between the car and...
Well, some of it was hardball, some of it was me just being procrastinating. But, so Jeremy went down and did the voiceover on his own, or with a producer. And he was a bit sort of, to varying degrees, certainly by me, he was excommunicated at that point.
Yeah.
And I think Richard and James didn't really want to talk to him because they didn't really know what was going on. And they were a bit like, oh God, he's really messed up here.
Yeah.
And they told me a story afterwards that they were walking together down to where we did the voiceover in Shepherd's Bush, and they saw Jeremy leaving and they both hid behind a wall.
That's fantastic.
So if anyone had been walking down the street, they'd have gone, there's those two blokes off the Grand Tour. Oh look, they're both like this, like cartoon characters behind a brick wall.
Because at that point, paparazzi would have been all over Jeremy.
Yeah,
and
they
didn't realise the two others
were hiding behind a wall.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so they did the VO, yes, just
You're not going to get in trouble saying that on the Spotcast, are you? You get an angry text from the pair of them, like...
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's a bit all bets are off now because
it's got to be. It's so far gone, and it's so...
Not that I'm trying to upset them because I enjoy their company and I'd like to see them again. But and I'm sure at some point we finished that last Grand Tour was filmed last year, but then we had to film something else this year, and then we had to do this end of this press launch thing and something else as well. So we've kind of gone,